Alright, last section I talked to you about my wife and our shopping habits and how she always has me calculate certain percentages of numbers. Well, I said I used the proportion or the percent proportion problem, but in reality I kind of do it using some mental tricks. Alright, and my mental tricks are to try to relate it to simple percentages and then multiply. So what that means is, here's a chart of a bunch of common percentages, all right? And, the ones that we like to use are, the 25% ones, okay? 25, 50, 75, 100. Those are fairly common. And then those are the fractions with them, okay? So the fractions are very important, all right? And then we'll go by tens here, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50's over here, 60, 70, 80, 90. Every 10% is, another tenth as a fraction. Alright, these ones are not as friendly over here, but they are very common. Because if it's 33%, you just have to divide by 3. Okay? If it's 16 and 2/3%, you just got to divide by 6. Alright? So, we're going to work on finding percents of certain numbers mentally. And we're going to try to break them down into, 10% is a nice number to use because we just divide by 10 or move the decimal one place. And we're going to use 25% because that's 1/4. We just got to divide by 4. Alright? So these are kind of the two numbers I like to work with the most. It's 25% and 10%. If it's not a pretty number, 33% is not a bad one to work with. 33 repeating percent is 1/3. You just got to divide by 3. There's other ones that work well, but the more common ones, these are the ones we like to use mental math. Alright, so let's see what we can do. 75%. Well, 75% is 25% times 3. Okay? So 25% is 1/4. Okay, that's what I'm doing mentally. What's 1/4 of 24? Well, 24 divided by 4 is 6. So that's 25%. So I have to multiply that by 3 to figure out 75%. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay? I'm going to do this without writing it down now. Okay? Here's 80%. Well, I know 10% is a tenth, so I just got to move the decimal place once. So 10% is 6. And I got to multiply that by 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Okay, now I'll go back and do it by writing it out. Okay, I know 10%. 10% is same as 1/10, which just means divide by 10. So 6 divided by 10 is 6. And now to go from 10% to 80%, I've multiplied by 8. So 6 times 8 gave me 48. Okay, I'll do a couple of guided practice down here. Okay, again, here's a tens percent I'd see. Okay, so 10% of there, I move the decimal once, is 5. I do 5 times 4 is 20. 30%, let's turn this into 10% times 3. Okay, well 10% of 70 is 7. 7 times 3 is 21. So there's just quick mental math, okay? Not too complicated. Alright, let's compute this mentally. 10% of 76, remember, that's just dividing by 10. So I move the decimal once, that's 7.6. 1%, now I'm going to move the decimal 2 times, because it's a tenth of 10%. So move the decimal twice, I get 1.22. There we go, just quick mental math. 10% of 42, move the decimal place once, 4.2. 1%, move the decimal place twice, 2.64. Boom, that easy. Compute mentally. If we know 10% and we know 25%, we can do a lot of these calculations really fast. Alright? Hannah hits a coupon that's 20% off of her entire purchase. The original cost is $110. How much will she save? Okay? So 20%. Well, I see that as 10%. So I move the decimal place once. That makes that $11. I need to double it because I actually want 20%. $22. She saved $22. Boom, that fast. Alright. Now, not as easy or accurate, but we can estimate here. Okay? We're going to use close percentages that we know are accurate. Or fairly accurate, I should say. Okay, so what's 26% close to that we like to use? Well, 25%. 25% is 1/4. If I do 64 divided by 4, it should be 16. I'm going to estimate it to be around 16. Alright, over here now, I'm going to estimate the large number. This is around 900. Okay? This is around, 1%. Okay? Good estimate is around 9. Okay? Or, I can take it to being about 2/3 of 9 is 6. Alright? That was a little tricky to do. This one's not too bad though. Alright? 39% is around 40%, correct? So let's do our 10% trick. 10% of this is 8.1. Alright? And then I'm going to do 8.1 times 4 because I want 40%. So it's about 32. 8.1 times 4 is just over 32, around 32. Okay, here's 120. This is pretty close to 50. Let's just use 50 for our number here. Okay? 10% of 50 is 5. 5 times 12 is 60. Boom. Fast, fast, fast. Okay? I took 10% of my number, which is about 5, and then to get to 120%, I got to multiply by 12. So 5 times 12 is 60. Okay? We're just estimating here. Sometimes we're going to estimate our normal number. Sometimes we're going to estimate our percent. Sometimes we're going to do both like we did here in D. We could have done it in C also. Now make this 40% and make this 80. Okay? It's going to be pretty close to the same thing. We're just estimating. Alright. Last one. Mr. Williams ordered 4 pizzas for a birthday party. Cost was $57.96. He wants to tip about 15%. What is a reasonable amount to tip? Alright. Check this out. 15% we haven't done yet. This is a good one to do. Okay? 15% is 10% plus half of 10%, because half of 10% is 5%. So 10 plus 5 is 15. So, if I write this down really quickly, alright, 10% is going to be 5.796. 5.796. Okay, I know we're doing money, so we should probably round that off to $5.80, so let's do that. $5.80. Alright, that's 10%. 15% is adding on half of that. What's half of 5.8? 2.9. Guess what? If I add those together, add my 10% plus my 5% together, that gives me 15%. There's my total tip. $8.70. Alright? Makes sense? Good. Okay, you might have said no there. But 15% is a little bit different, but just know if we have that halfway in between number, like we know 10%, we add a half more, because 15% is halfway between 10 and 20. Alright? So if we look at the guided practice here, 15%, we're going to take 10% of that number, which is 4.86, basically. That's 10%. I'm doing the guided practice really quickly. And then half of that I got to add on. Well, I'm going to add on half that. It's 2.43. So my tip would be $7.29. There we go. That simple. Okay, 15% is 10 plus 5. 10% plus half of that. Alright? We can calculate tips quickly, we can calculate savings quickly, we can do it all mentally. Save us a lot of time. We can estimate, okay? Because some sales are weird. They use weird numbers like this page we did right here. Nope, can't find it. There it is. Took me a little bit. Okay? So we just estimate, try to get close, make reasonable predictions about how much we're saving, how much we need to tip, etc. Have a great day.